Hi, Eric Gibaud, ericgibaud.com, and today we're going to speak about one thing I say very often is that you must get your photography gear according to your photography needs. And the last time I said it was in this video about full frame war, and I'm going to tell you a few tips on how to decide what are your photography needs, and according to this, select or buy the right gear for it. Let's start. First thing you must have really clear: universal cameras, whether photography cameras or video cameras, do not exist. Very often people contact me and they tell me, what camera should I buy? I want to do family pictures, portrait, sport photography, fauna, birds, action, submarine photo, underwater photo. I want to do night photography, whatever, many things. And I always say the same thing. Well, try to concentrate on what you like most, because there are no camera or no tool that will do everything. So if despite in trying to concentrate, you want to do many different things, you have only two options. One is to be really rich and buy several tools for several kind of picture. And the second one is to take something a bit more universal, but to accept sacrifices. It means that things, image quality won't be as good, or things that will not be as good, okay? But these are the only two options, so don't forget this. There are no universal cameras. The second concept you should have really clear. This idea is not mine. The other day there was a comment on my YouTube channel, and I thought it was brilliant. A person said, a camera is not a tool. A camera is an instrument. For example, a tool is like a hammer. You take a hammer and you can actually put the nail, and without twisting them, all this, after 5-10 minutes, you dominate a hammer. This is easy. A camera is like a musical instrument. To get a sound out of a guitar or an instrument, any instrument, is not that hard. Sometimes it's even very easy. A piano, just touch and that's it, key, and you get a sound. But to dominate a musical instrument is really difficult. It takes years to really dominate it. And a camera is the same thing. To get a picture out is easy. You just press the trigger and you get a picture. But being able to get a good picture, one after one, get proper exposition, get proper framing, proper composition, all this, it takes years to dominate this. So the fact that you consider your camera to be an instrument and not a tool means you're going to study this instrument. You're going to study how to use it. And the more you know this instrument, the more you extend its possibilities. It means that if you knew better your tool, your instrument, you would probably make things you thought was not possible. And it means you're going to save a lot of money, because sometimes you change gear just because you think it's too limited. But if you knew actually more things about this gear, you probably would extend a lot its possibilities. So don't forget, this is not a tool. Treat it as an instrument, although we all call it a tool. Another important thing, you must make a big difference between what you like to watch, the kind of picture you like to watch, and what the kind of picture you would like to make. This is really different. For example, for me, I like to look at underwater pictures, but I would not do underwater pictures. Why? I'm not thinking about going underwater, so I would not do that kind of picture. So why should I add this to my list of needs if I know this is the kind of picture I will not make? I'm just as a spectator, I like to have a look at it, but that's it. Then you must prepare a list of the kind of pictures you would like to do. So the easiest way is to check the picture you like to see, to watch, and then from this list decide the kind of picture you not just like, but you would also like to make, okay? So there are many possibilities. Well, landscape, animals, it's not the same thing, an elephant than a small bird, okay? So take it into account. Portrait, social photography, like weddings, for example, or parties, action photography, night photography. This is not the same thing, a landscape during the night, than a city where you see actually people, you want to see them properly. Astrophotography, fashion, macro photography. So you must see a list of all this. Professional photographers tend to make a reduced list because they aim at getting return on the investment. An amateur is more tends more to make any kind of picture because today I make this and tomorrow something else. But even like this, you must try to make a priority in your list, because otherwise you may need a lot of gear. So try to at the beginning at least concentrate on what you really would like to do most. Many people, when we speak about photography gear, they just think about a camera, and the camera is just one part of the story. You have to take into account the lens. Although the lens may be fixed on your camera, you cannot change it. Its characteristic must be known to know if they match what you actually want to do. And if there are lenses you can actually change, you must know which lens to buy to be able to make the picture you wish. Okay? Then you have to add lighting gear. Maybe you don't need it, but maybe you need it. Depends on what of the kind of picture you want to do. But maybe a simple reflector, or sometimes some flashes, studio flash, Cobra flash, whatever. But lighting gear is important. Then accessories like a tripod, gimbal, filters, whatever, a photometer, whatever kind of accessories you may need. And then this picture, once taken, you need to do something with them. So if it was film photography, well, who is going to develop the picture or print it or whatever? And if it's digital photography, which is most likely to be as you're watching this video, is you need to edit this photography or stock it on your computer, or develop the raw file or whatever. Unless you're going to send your picture directly from the camera to your phone and from your phone to social networks, most likely you will need a computer. And then there's a part that most people forget about. This is really important, is the cost of practicing the kind of picture you want to make. This is not the same thing to make macro photography on your kitchen table than to get gear to do travel photography, because you must take into account that traveling has a cost. So did you think about this cost? Because otherwise you will be traveling from your kitchen to your living room, and from the living room to the kitchen. So this is important to take this into account. Then it's important that you have to think of a budget. How much money do you have available to practice photography? Because with this budget you will decide what gear you can actually get, or what kind of sacrifices you must make to fit your gear into this budget. Okay. Once you've done that, you've got the list of the kind of thing you want to do, and the list of the kind of part of the gear you're going to need. Maybe you don't need lighting gear, or maybe you will, or whatever, but you have a list of the small places you must fill with a corresponding gear. So the easiest thing at the start is if you want to do, like for example, bird photography, well, you go to Flickr or Facebook group that is specialized in the bird photography, and you see the picture and you try to know the gear they're actually using. So it tells you a bit what kind of gear could be good for you to do the same thing. But sometimes you see some people that actually show off with the gear they have, and you will feel when you check these groups that if you don't have that top material, top gear, you won't be able to make good picture. And this is not always the case. I mean, there are people making incredible picture with incredibly expensive gear, and some people making extremely great picture with extremely basic gear. And sometimes you will realize that you just cannot afford anything. You want to enjoy photography, but you can't even afford a camera. But you have a cell phone, and cell phone, you can already enjoy things with the cell phone. So don't feel bad if you cannot afford the gear that seems to be perfect. There are probably some gear you can use and get picture you want to do. What's important for me, I mean for my money, but I think for you, for your money also, is do not spend the money you do not have. I see some people getting in debt basically for a hobby. So I don't speak of professional, I speak about hobbyists. Don't spend the money you don't have. Don't spend your kids' food. Don't spend your parents' help. Don't spend the money you don't have. This is just a hobby. You can enjoy photography with absolutely any gear. And if there is a kind of picture you want to do, but you really need an expensive gear, well, enjoy other kind of photography. Don't feel bad about it. I see many people, they spend more time being sad about the gear they don't have than enjoying the gear they have. So I'm going to leave you a video here. This is not a video about photography. It is a video about my daughter, Pino. I've got two daughters, Pino and Opie. And Pino has a mental handicap. So she's limited in many things. But she can make many other things. And thanks to Pino, I've learned a lot about this philosophy, is enjoy what you have. Don't be sad about what you don't have. Because if you enjoy what you have, you will get better with this gear you have, or with this possibility, or in case of Pino, with mental possibility she has, she go and better. But if you think all the time about what you don't have, you will not even learn or make good things with what you have. So this philosophy is really important. Enjoy what you can afford or what you have. Don't get sad about what you cannot afford, okay? And I think it's important to go step by step, bit by bit, because I see some people, they want to rush having everything. They want to have a lot of gear straight away, and they think it's going to solve everything. And when you think about a photographer like Cartier-Bresson, who maybe had 2 cameras in his life, and you see these people just starting, they get a camera, and then next month they want a new lens, and they want to start to do flash photography. They want 4 flashes straight away. No, just get 1 flash unit. When you dominate this flash unit, then buy maybe a second one if you feel it may help, or a third one, 4th one, but start bit by bit, one by one, you know. And sometimes you want to do like, imagine bird photography, and you want to do pictures of an eagle that is like 300 meters away, and you cannot afford the tele lens that you actually need. So don't give up. You can start making pictures to small birds in your garden or in the park, like 10 meters away. And there's one thing that is common at every picture, which is light. So learning about exposure, composition, framing, all this is something you will need for any kind of photography, any kind. So even if the gear you want, but you cannot afford right now, what you can afford doesn't allow you to make the picture you would like to have, you can still practice in another photography field or area or style, and what you learn on this will be useful for when you at last get the lens you wanted. So don't worry, it's a practice and enjoy what you have, okay? And you will see that when you see it this way, you will learn, you'll be better, and you will be a better photographer. There is a famous photographer, I can't remember his name, who said in photography there are no shortcuts. And that's true. There is no shortcut. It means you must go step by step. Having more gear in your bag will not help you to be a better photographer. You will think you can get closer to the bird, but doesn't mean it will be a better photography. Maybe it will be a possible photography, but not a better photography. Go step by step. There is no rush. No one is waiting for you. And I think it's important to be clever, because there are many people that have gas, it's a gear acquisition syndrome. They just buy and buy and buy and buy, and they don't think there's some alternative. So maybe you want to try to do macro photography, and you think, well, I need a macro lens, but you're not sure if you're going to like to do macro photography. You're not sure yet. But you have to spend like 300, 400, 500, maybe 1,000 euros on a macro lens. You don't even know if you're going to like it. So be clever. Just buy extension tube. This tube, you can get them on Amazon or on eBay. And while you won't have autofocus, you'll have manual focus, and you will lose some light, but then you learn how to compensate. But you can do macro photography this way, and you start to learn and how to do it, and you know if you like macro photography. Or you can even take your lens, put it front to back, and then you can already do macro photography and see if you like it. So then when you know you like that kind of photography, yes, why not? You can get a proper macro lens, okay? But there are many options to avoid spending that money. Or for example, you tell me, I want to have a high ISO capable camera. Why? Because I'm going to do night photography. Yeah, what kind of night photography? Action photography? No, still like the square in my town, or night landscape, or things like this. Well, instead of spending the extra 1,000 euros maybe on a better camera for high ISO, why don't you spend 100 euros on a proper tripod, and then you do long exposure photography, and you save a lot of money, and you probably don't need this high ISO. If one day you need something different, then you will think about it, but try to see a bit. And when you think that you need something and you're going to buy it, don't buy it. Just don't buy it. I need this. Well, you wait 1 week, and if after a week you still think you need this gear, then buy it. But most of the time you will realize that you don't need it, or you did not need it, and you save money by not buying it. To conclude, do not forget that you make the picture, not your gear. If you think the picture is made by your gear, you will always want a better gear, because there is always a better gear, okay? And very often some people will make you feel that your gear could be better, or their gear is better than yours. And they start to compare. And normally they compare the following way. They get your picture on screen and their picture on screen, and they put it on 500%, and they tell you, look, you have more noise than I do. His picture, okay? Noise makes a lot maybe, but the picture, okay? Yeah, but this is 500% of stupidity. You should compare on 100% maximum. It doesn't mean you cannot put on 500% to retouch a picture, whatever, to edit or whatever. But when you compare 100%, or the real end use, I mean, if you're going to publish all your pictures on Facebook and never print, never publish in larger size, check the final size and compare this on the final size, and don't get into these details that you will not see anyway. And then they tell you, yeah, but if you print this picture in large, like 1 by 2 meter or 1.5, you will see the problems. Well, if you print large like this and you look at the picture like this, yes, you will probably see some difference. I agree. But if you print that large, you will look at it from 1 meter or 2 meter away. So the difference will not be noticeable anymore. So when they actually compare picture, they should do it in real life use, not doing 500%. So then you will realize that there is no good or bad camera. When people say, yeah, but full frame is better, micro four thirds is better, APS is better, or the other way around, they all are good, and they all have some lack of some things, okay? But the important is the gear you have and the gear you can afford. And you will realize that any gear can make fantastic pictures, okay? So don't worry about what people are saying. Just make the list of your need and get the gear that helps you to obtain the picture you want. And don't worry about the rest. Well, that's it. I hope you like this video. If you feel it may interest other people, please share it on social networks. If you have not done yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's a small button down here and also a small bell. If you click on the bell, you'll get notified when when I upload a new video. My website, ericgibaud.com. If you have any question, you can leave a comment below. Send me an email to info@ericgibaud.com. Below, I also leave some links of my gear on Amazon, also links to other parts of my YouTube channel. Take care of yourself. See you soon. Bye.